observed a large eel-like creature writhing in the middle of the road.
But I can see there's something heading straight for me, so I turned and started back towards the van.
I've never seen anything like it before or since.
It was a great, huge, long thing, like a brontosaurus.
Around the world, there are no less than 27 million lakes larger than a hectare. Many of these are unexplored and unsurveyed, and many are home to legends of strange creatures unknown to scientific categorization. Freshwater marine cryptoids. In North America alone, we have Cressy in Crescent Lake, Newfoundland, Bessie in Lake Erie, Champ in Lake Champlain, Ogopogo in Lake Okanogan, Tessie in Lake Tahoe, Winnipogo in Lake Winnipegosis, Egopogo in Lake Simcoe, Manipogo in Lake Manitoba, Illy in Lake Iliamna, Mussy in Muskrat Lake, Alley in Alkali Lake, Lily in Lake Lilienau, and Flatty in Flathead Lake, Montana, where there is a not lot else to do. Yes, there's a lot in North America, as let's face it, they do write the news, but not to be outdone, Russia has Brozny in Lake Brosno, Sweden has the Starsjöret in Starsjön, and many lochs of Ireland land are reputed to be homes of the Dob Har Chew, or water horses that lure unsuspecting travelers into their clutches. In England land, the Lake Windermere monster keeps a stiff reptilian upper lip. Scotland land, of course, has Morag in Lake Morar and Nessie in Loch Ness. And in China's Baofeng Lake, the toads of Wunan have built their own legend of fear and trepidation. But yet there's more. In the Likuala swamp of the Congo, we find legends of Emila Ntuka, and look at this, the Nguma Monene. In South Africa's Howick Falls, we find the volatile Ikanyamba. In South America, Patagonia's Nihulahuapi Lake has talk of Nahuelito, the Patagonian plesiosaur. It would appear that if you have a large body of fresh water, there is probably a story about a large mysterious creature living there. Obviously, there's one in Australia, the Bunyip of Berkeley's Creek. But let's face it, it's likely to be complete and utter claptrap and simply a way of selling postage stamps. And so to New Zealand, the land of the tiny kiwi, the tuatara, and the giant carnivorous land snail, and of course Sam Whitelock. But what other giants have lived or still live on these shores? And where does this fit in? And what's going on Lake Forsyth? In order to answer these questions, I have brought in someone with a much better accent than me to provide some background information. Sir Peter Winstons.
According to the Wairua traditions, Rakaihotu was the captain of Te Waka Uru O and brought the Waitaha, the first people to light the fires of occupation on Waiponamu. Rakaihotu created a more livable landscape for those that were to follow by carving out the Great Lakes and breathing life into the new land. He completed his work on Banks Peninsula with 2 lakes, Te Waihora, or Lake Ellesmere, and Te Roto o Wairewa, Lake Forsyth. Overwhelmed by the magnificence of his artistic endeavours, Rakaihotu decided to stay, driving his digging stick deep into the ground, where it became Tuhairaki, or Mount Bosu.
Thank you, Sir Peter.
You're most welcome.
It's not just toxic green sludge that thrives here now, it's also home to the longfin and shortfin eels. Traditionally, Maori have sole eel, or tuna, fishing rights on the lake, and during migration, the tuna would make their way to the sea through trenches dug by the eelers. As they advance, they are gaffed and hooked into the parua, a pit dug in the shingle. Whilst the longfin eels can reach 60 years old and 1.5 meters in length, there have been reports of over 3-meter-long specimens in the past. Could these be the source of some reports of strange creatures in the lake? If you're wanting to know about local legends, who should you ask? It's got to be the local hairdresser.
No, I've never seen it. But I know who you could ask, because it's Duncan McDonald. He's lived here all his life. Really nice guy. He lives down the road in a shed, an old shed with his dog.
This is full-time Brucey hunter Duncan McDonald. Since the age of 9, he has been collecting and collating reports of Brucey sightings, or Bruceycons as he calls them. He has also logged up over 1 million hours at the lakeside watching for Brucey. He lives in a shed with his dog Anthea, where he enjoys German electro-funk and Lego. We asked Duncan what Lake Forsyth's foremost authority on Brucey the lake monster actually does.
Well, I'm like the chap that keeps all the records and things over here like this, all the names and the times and the dates and some other personal details there as well. My grandfather, in fact, you may have heard of him, the great late W.G. McDonald, who was famous in these parts in the 1950s. He started it all, and I'm just sort of following in his footsteps, so to speak. After he was arrested, I took over the whole file and changed a few things, and now we are where we are. But look, there's loads of interesting and extremely valuable information here. Here's just an example. Mrs. Prudence Keys, 6:30 p.m, 5th of August 1993, driving her jalopy past Caton's Bay behind a larger truck. Heard loud bang, then observed large eel-like creature writhing in the middle of the road. She noticed a strange rubbery smell of rubber, quite rubbery and rubberiness. She drew a picture of it. Here, have a look. You see what I mean?
But what of the witnesses that are still alive?
I'm the leader of the pack. It makes me such a lucky chap.
There was an American boy on holiday, Joey Jinsky or something. I think Jan's got his mum's number.
This is Joey Zarzynski. Joey was on holiday with his mother Linda and his uncle Joseph in a motorhome parked at Caton's Bay at the very edge of the lake. He has never returned to the Banks Peninsula, and until now has never spoken about the encounter, which has left him with is probably the ultimate physical reminder of Brucey.
Mama said, Mama said, Mama said.
Are you ready to tell us what happened?
Mama said, don't say nothing. Don't need to say nothing. Don't need to see nothing. Don't need to be nothing.
But are you ready to tell us what happened?
We was on our vacate holidays in Uncle Joseph Pa's van down by the lake. Now, every night I had to go play by the lake because Uncle Joseph Pa got to talk to Mama's special secrets before bedtime. There's a whole darn bunch of stuff that I just don't need to know about. Now, if you go down the lake between the van and the water, there's a whole bunch of pebbles just there lying waiting to be thrown. And there's a whole bunch of water just lying waiting to be thrown at. So I just took to throwing myself some pebbles in the dark at the big black ducks. And I started to teach myself the sliding. I can do 8. The world record's only 7, so I'm the best darn skimmer there is. See, I give myself more points if I can kill a duck after 5 or more bounces. One night I got 14 big black ducks, but most of we had one for every meal. See, the breast meat is the best.
Yes, Joey, that's all fabulous, but are you ready to tell us what happened at the lake?
Well, I was down by the water's edge, all is nice and quiet. Kinda like when Uncle Joseph Pa's got a head pain. I was just throwing some good pebbles. They got some good ones there. Then I hear a rippling and a splashing, and I can see this wave coming my way. Now, I got scared straight away, and I stood up so I could see whatever it is. But I can't see nothing more than this wave. Now, it's all dark, but I can see there's something heading straight for me. So I turned and started back toward the van.
Joey, you finished throwing that pebble yet?
I nearly done, Linda Mom. Now, I slips and I falls, and I reckon I hit my head on a real big pebble, 'cause I wakes up in the hospital, and I only need one glove now. But I can still throw, see?
So, Joey, are you saying that the creature made off with your arm?
Well, what do you think? I didn't just put it down somewhere, and I don't think Uncle Joseph Pa cut it off with his hunting knife. That'd be stupid.
So would you be prepared to take us to the site of the incident?
There's no way I'm ever going back there again. Hell, I don't even want to think about it.
Can you describe the creature?
Well, I didn't see much more than a wave, but I reckon it was like a water horse or some kind, a kelpie. It was big, it was black, it was ugly, and it was slippery.
Joey, what are you saying out there?
Mama said, don't say nothing. Mama said, don't say nothing. Mama said, don't say nothing.
Give us a 12.
There's Helen McNaughton, but you'll never get to speak to her. She's been mad ever since. These poor children.
Helen McNaughton was a teacher at the local school who has been institutionalized ever since her 2010 encounter with Brucey. She was taking a party of 5- and 6-year-olds on a wildlife painting trip on Lake Forsyth, and we have been very lucky to get to talk with her at all. Getting her to talk about her encounter could apparently send her into a fit. She still believes she teaches an imaginary class, where her specialist subject is New Zealand painters.
A. A is for Albrecht. Gretchen Albrecht, born in Onehunga. There we go. B. B is for Binny. Don Binny, born in Auckland. Very good, very good, very good, very good. C is for Cotton. Shane Cotton, born in Lower Hutt. Very good, very good.
Hello, Helen. Are you having fun?
Have we got a new pupil? Oh, we've got somebody else to see us. Now, be good, children, be good. D is for Denby. Ken Denby. Hold on, he's from Canada. D is for Day. Melvin Day, born in Hamilton. There we go. That's right. E is for the exponents. We'll put that in Canadian as well.
You look like you're having fun. Do you still get to paint yourself?
Paint? No? Paint? I used to paint everything. I used to paint birds, swans and geese and ducks and all sorts of wading birds.
I've seen some of your paintings. They really are very good. Do you still paint?
They won't let me have any brushes. I keep hurting myself with them. That's why my teeth are so... F! F is for Fell! Charles Fell, born in Else. Hold on a minute, there isn't a real E!
How do you paint now then?
Well, Remember Jackson Pollock? Throwing paint around and making it look deliberate. That's all I can do now. My number 2 came second in a competition, you know. I was only beaten by Esmeralda, the elephant from Wellington Zoo. They said her picture was more spatial, whatever that means.
So does this ring a bell with you? It was done by one of your former pupils some time ago.
Oh, I remember this. Oh, Lachlan Stewart, age 6. Oh, he's such a happy boy. He's drawn his mum and him and his dad playing on a field near the school. Such a happy picture. Oh.
What about this one? It's another one from the same class.
Oh. Jimmy Albrecht, age 5. Look, he's painted migrating geese returning and landing on the water.
And this one by Kenny Moore. It's from the same year group.
Cuddly toy, cuddly toy.
Well, you know the actor bloke, Shine? He was in Car 3, where are you?
Another witness who saw Brucey near Caitlin's Bay is quite different. In yet another rare public appearance, Adrian Shine has agreed to tell us about the encounter he had with something strange one day in 1985. In return for this exclusive interview, obviously we have to show a few clips from the highlights of his glamorous showbiz career to remind you of who he is, and also try to get his new autobiography in shot as often as possible. Firstly, here's what was voted best by both the regular BPTV viewers as being their greatest ever TV moment last year. God knows why.
She's going to get a book.
Adrian Shine, would you please like to read the front of this red folder for me?
Adrian Shine, this is your life. Oh, you guys.
Well done. Now, if you'd like to follow me down to the community hall, friends and loved ones down there ready to celebrate your great achievements in life.
Shine was filming an atmospheric thinking shot between dialogue scenes whilst driving along the banks of the lake. He was practicing some of the brooding looks and meaningful glances that had become the trademark of the hard-nosed, hard-drinking cop whose family always came first, once the bad guys had been put safely away.
Yeah, so my crew and I were filming an atmospheric thinking shot between dialogue scenes involving driving along the banks of the lake. I was practicing some of the brooding, meaningful glances that had become a trademark of the hard-nosed, hard-drinking cop whose family always came first once the bad guys had been safely put away.
Suddenly, Shine became aware of something in the road ahead.
Hey, look, I'm telling the story, okay? Suddenly I became aware of something in the road ahead. So I immediately stopped the car and tried to study what it was in front of me. What it was like this large disc-shaped object about the size of a Ford Mustang. There were lights going around the middle of what appeared to be windows on top. A beam of light was...
Sorry, Adrian, that's next week. This is the Brucey one.
Oh, sorry. So immediately I stopped the car, tried to study what it was in front of me. It was a large eel or slug-like thing, moving slowly across the road from the cliff towards the lake. Frankly, I was shocked. I've never seen anything like it before or since. And as you know, I speak from 21 years as a cop in Banks Peninsula TV's Car 3, where Kirk. Bring them in, Kirk. Even when I was mercenary Paul the Blonde in the $90 billion blockbuster To the Stars, I never encountered anything like this. I won't let my country down, Major, as long as they pay me. Certainly immersing myself in the clergy before my role as the Reverend Bernard Hildesman in BBC's My God didn't prepare me either. Let us pray. Start praying, boy. Yeah, it was about 30 feet long with a long neck, a horse-like head, and it had 3 to 5 humps down its back. It wriggled its way from the road to the lakeside, where it disappeared into the water without a sound and vanished. The whole thing can only have taken about 30 seconds, but I sat there bewildered for another 5 or 10, wondering, what have I just seen? Then I remembered the camera on the dashboard, but it was too late. Plus the camera wasn't real anyway.
So, Adrian, would you be prepared to take us back to the spot and show us where it happened?
Yeah, sure.
So, for the first time in over 30 years, actor Adrian Shine has returned to the site of his own real-life Brucey sighting.
Of course, the trees have all been removed since I was last here, but I do recognise the roads and bends. I came along from this direction over that way and saw the creature on the road ahead, right about here. I stopped here and the creature, well, it just sort of moved along from here down to the lake over there. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it now.
Did it appear to you to react to your presence?
No, not to me. It was on its way to the lake and I don't think it noticed me at all. I think I've been really lucky to see it, whatever it was. I've seen some strange things in my time in the clergy, and at NASA, and in the police, but I've never seen anything like it before or since.
Good game, good game.
If you can catch Jim Currie, he went flying over the lake one day and caught it on film.
Look, I'm not going to tell you again. I'm not saying another thing, and if you want more, you can go to my agent.
You get nothing for a pair, not in this game.
Oh, Ethel and Enid. You'll get a cup of tea out of them.
Ethel McQuarrie and Enid Choddy are sisters who have lived near Lake Forsyth for all of their lives. Except for the 1960s, which they just can't remember, but do claim was a tremendous decade.
Oh, yes, it was. Wasn't it, Enid?
Oh yes, definitely, Ethel.
A truly tremendous decade. No doubt in my mind.
Can't remember a thing. Can you, Ethel?
Not a thing, Enid. Not a thing.
Not a thing.
All I know is new surname.
I know. New name.
Morty.
No, I shouldn't.
Oh, go on, you know you want to.
All right.
Ladies, can you tell us about the time when you saw Brucey?
Oh, a lovely man. Such a charming man. And such a good dancer.
I saw him first.
No, Brucey the lake monster.
Well, you tell it, Enid.
Well, we were feeding the swans.
We were feeding the swans. It was a Tuesday, and I had decided that Enid should paint me at the water's edge. And she was. I had my new bonnet, and she had her new brushes. And it was, oh, so wonderful.
Wonderful.
I held a pose. It was like this. No, it was like this.
It was like this.
And there was a breeze. It was so beautiful. Enid sat at her easel and started. And very soon in, I could see she was distracted by something behind me. She was looking over my shoulder all the time. And all of a sudden, the birds flew over me. And the water was making a tremendous noise. And I couldn't help it. I turned and, oh, there it was.
It was a great, huge.
It was a big, long brontosaurus.
A petasaurus. There's no such thing as a brontosaurus.
It had a long neck and a long body, and you couldn't tell where the body began and the neck ended. And it was coming straight at us, like an NCO at the summer ball. Well, I turned and I grabbed Enid, and we ran and we ran and we ran all the way to the pub. And those men in there, they laughed at us. And one of them said, oh, that was only Brucey.
It was a great, huge thing. Like a...
We've never seen anything like it, have we, Enid?
Marvellous, marvellous.
Bryan McGee, Father Bryan.
Hello, Father McGee. Father McGee. Bryan. Hello, Father McGee.
All right, my love?
Laurie McAllister.
Another well-known local character who has gone on record as seeing Brucey is karaoke black belt Laurie McAllister. Here he is. He's nearly here. He's on his way. We're really looking forward to this. This is going to be great. Here he comes. Any moment now. I can't wait. This is going to be great. Here he is. This is worth waiting for. Hey, Laurie. Thanks for
Don't talk to me about Brucey.
Laurie. You promised. Laurie. Laurie. Laurie.
Didn't you do well?
Meanwhile, back at the shed down the road, Duncan McDonald is planning another monster hunting trip to Lake Forsyth.
definitely something to be said for just being outside when you're monster hunting. It's the thrill of the outdoors, the kiss of the spray, the smell of the algae, the picking of the spot, the cleaning of the tackle, the baiting of the hook. You need to be prepared. It's either you or Mother Nature, and you're a long time weaned. Righto, up you go. There you go. Righto, that's got rid of him. Let's go and look for some monsters.
Hi, I'm the voiceover man. Are you tired of not being able to see underwater? Unable to hold your breath long enough to make any kind of safe below-surface observation meaningful? Well, help is at hand with the all-new Brucyscope from DUNCON. Made from the finest 100% pure acrylonitrile butadiene styrene, or ABS. It's the material NASA uses to make space Lego. The Brucyscope has two exclusive features never before combined in one underwater viewing apparatus. 1, you can see underwater. 2, you stay safe and dry. And you don't run out of breath. So how do you get your stupid hands on them? It's easy, and today we've worked out a very special deal for the viewers. But don't take my word for it. Let's join our host, the Very Reverend Cindy Pacemaker, to find out more.
I'm Cindy Pacemaker. You may or may not remember me as the lady of the shopping channel. Remember this?
You buy one, you get one free. I said you buy one, you get one free.
That was me. Now, how many of us could honestly say that at some point they haven't experienced the full-on rush of looking underwater? I don't know about you, but whenever I try and look underwater, whether it be at the seaside, riverbank, duck pond or bath time, I always seem to end up getting wet and often run out of oxygen before completing any worthwhile observations. Well, the good people at DUNCON knew exactly how short of work I was this week and told me they'd come up with a solution. I was skeptical at first, but they were right. It is possible to see underwater whilst remaining perfectly safe and dry. With my new DUNCON Brucyscope, I no longer have to spend hours drying my face after looking for the last spoon in the washing up bowl. If I think my two boys, Feta and Praline, have dropped their ponies in the bath, I don't have to wait to locate and retrieve. And raiding the coins in the shopping mall fountain is an absolute breeze. I'm kidding, of course. Don't take my word for it. Here's a very special guest who's flown in from somewhere or other to help me to explain it all to you. He really needs no introduction, but just in case, I'll give it to you. He's my very own personal ex-friend, Banks Peninsula Ambassador for DUNCON Enterprises, Milltown, Classibacker.
Oh, lovely.
So Milty, it's so good to see you.
It's great to be here, Cindy. Thanks so much for having me on your show. How am I? Safe and dry.
You're so funny. But seriously, how on earth did all this come about? It would seem to me that one minute you're BP's leading TV-based paranormal investigator, the next minute you're climbing into bed with every obscure, former, minor, non-celebrity on the peninsula. But we haven't seen you on our screens for a while. Tell us all about what you've been doing.
Well, Cindy, I'd love to. I've just had the most amazing time on a very grueling but very successful public speaking tour of the Little River Domain, which was a step into the void for me, but wow, what a response. The people here certainly do love former minor non-celebrities offloading their thoughts and beliefs in a field. To whoever may be walking past. Halfway through that public speaking tour, which was very grueling, I was contacted by the good people of DUNCON. They told me they knew exactly how short of work I was, and they had the perfect solution. I was skeptical to say the least. But no, it is possible to see underwater whilst remaining perfectly safe and dry. With the Duncan Brucey scope, I no longer have to spend hours drying my face after looking for the last spoon in the washing up bowl. If I think my two boys, Gandalf and Sonny Bill, have dropped their ponies in the bath, I don't have to wait to locate and retrieve. And raiding the coins in the shopping mall fountain is an absolute breeze. I'm kidding, of course.
Don't take our word for it. Let's ask the voiceover man.
Hi, I'm the voiceover man. Are you tired of not being able to see underwater? Unable to hold your breath long enough to make any kind of safe below surface observation meaningful? Well, help is at hand with the all-new
Oh, down at the shop. They sell Brucey things. They don't know who to ask.
One of the elements of the Brucey story that cannot be dismissed is the income brought to the lakeside region. A blossoming trade in tours, photo opportunities, and a wide range of souvenirs, trinkets, and Brucey paraphernalia. Wendy James is the third generation of her family to run the trade in hats, t-shirts, bags, mouse mats, pens, notebooks, postcards, and the like, ensuring that visitors can take away with them much more than just memories and hazy out-of-focus snapshots of the legendary creature.
Right, so that's 423 of the new white t-shirts, 422 of the ladies size 9, 1 unisex extra large, and Bill the Sultan that is normal. Thank you, Your Majesty. Sorry, Your Highness, Your Excellency.
Hi Wendy, you seem to be doing a roaring trade.
Oh well, you know, we do okay. It's not all gold stain oil barons, you know. It's mainly just tourists stopping for good coffee and top class food at a reasonable rate.
What's the most common gift sold?
Oh well, they all sell really, but probably the t-shirts overall, now that the overalls have all sold out. And the Americans, they really like the hats. Oh, and the notepads. And recently we've sold loads of mouse pads as well. They're very popular with the Chinese. Oh, and the mugs. The Brits love those. Typical.
And postcards?
Oh well, we try not to encourage them because the margins are so low.
Have you actually seen Brucey yourself?
Well, Prime Minister. You've spilt what on your Brucey shirt?
But are souvenirs the only things being sold? What about souls? Bob Rhino was born under a bad sign in July 1984 and again 3 weeks later. He studied ancient Welsh philosophy with a bloke he met in the pub, leading him naturally into a political career path as member for Bluff, and inevitably finishing with him now leading a gathering of like-minded individuals in a mutual reclusive commune, shunning outsiders, and probably worshipping Satan or an alien or something or other. Let's face it, it's a cult. Naturally, with this background, he has developed the ability to avoid the direct answering of any question.
Dr. Bob, tell me again, where did you see Brucey?
Where?
Where?
Everywhere. I see Brucey all the time. He speaks to me.
By the jetty?
Yes, by the jetty.
In the lake?
In the lake.
You saw him in the lake? On the side of the lake?
On the side of the lake. On the road.
On the road?
In this beautiful...
We've had another sighting on the road. This is excellent. When was this?
All the time.
Can you be more specific?
There he is.
And what about life as a cult leader? In which important ways can he enrich lives?
Yes. The hair used to be straight and very neat, but once I learned the truth, well, this is just the way that your hair goes. Even if you're bald, it'll grow back. It'll just go just like this. I have 20 followers there. Before they joined, no hair at all. Now covered in feathers. Here. My people come to me. Believe in the word. Believe in the word of Brucey. Believe, come to me. Hide in the shadows. Come into the light.
So, Duncan, when did you first start the search for Brucey?
Well, you see me come down here. We've been here about 5 minutes. I wanted to leave at dawn when the light's nice and clean, but you had to get that shot of me on the table.
No, Duncan, when did Brucey first start taking over your life?
Well, I would have been about 9 years old. My friend Rory and I used to come here after school and spend hours watching, waiting for something to appear. We'd heard rumours and stories from the old men of the village about the monster. They called it Rototanifa Tata Awa Iti Titirome Nui Haha Amiki Whakama, or Lake Monster near Little River, looks a bit like a big eel, very shy. So Rory called it Brucey.
So where is Rory now?
Oh, you know the Rory Underwood, who's the Secretary General of the United Nations? Same guy.
Now here we can see the first use of Duncan's famous Brucey scope. It is the tool that Duncan used when he first started looking for Brucey, and he still swears by it 40 years later.
20 years ago. I'm only 29, mate. It's hard work, this monster hunting, you know. Well, as you can see, it's a piece of very technical apparatus, allowing the user to see under the surface of the water while remaining safe and dry. It's not just a plastic drain tube that you poke into the water and look down. It's actually made from the finest acrylonitrile-butadiene styrene, or ABS. It's the stuff that NASA uses to make space Lego. Years ago, this whole area would have been full of eeling trenches cut into the gravel. The eels would slither their way along, but the depth would decrease gradually, enabling the eelers to catch their prey. This is simply a larger version ready to ensnare Brucey as he makes his way to the sea. I think that this is going to prove that Brucey is not only real, but very tasty when barbecued with a garlic marinade.
So have you yourself seen Brucey?
Well, I don't see what the point of answering that is. It's a typical question of the disdain for which Bruceology is treated by the mainstream press. You know, I've personally interviewed over 1,000 witnesses, and they aren't all nutcases, lonely, attention-seeking divorcees or novelists. Some of them are actually feelings and normal people, and they just didn't ask to see the monster. They just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time with their measurements.
And then, just as we were packing up, this happened.
Just been down at the lake. There's this fucking thing down there. I don't know what the it is. It's fucking massive. I just seen it come out from behind the trees, and it was huge. It had a neck on it, teeth drooling. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. It's fucking incredible. I'm speechless. The thing. I gotta go. Get out of here.
So naturally we just ignored it and carried on. So where does this story take us? What can we learn about Brucey, about how legends form and function? Perhaps more importantly, and definitely more likely to sell records, what can we learn about ourselves? Is there anyone to make sense of all this? Somebody who is qualified to listen, to understand, and not to judge in any way, shape or form. A barman, perhaps.
For many, many, many years, I have been a very, very clever man. This indisputable fact has led me to have the innate ability to extract the truth from all your mysteries. Only I can ease the burden of ignorance that you allow to crumple your stupid, stupid shoulders. You have now seen some of the people that feel the innate need to conform to a group or belief. They are a very broad range of people from a small community. Some obviously have moved on, but others cling to the need to be in this identity cult, and some even desire it to be a a patch of some variety, to be part of a larger club. Tiptoeing in on the shores of the Sea of Truth. Blind to the monsters lurking in deeper waters, some hold their girth, steadfast in their belief. Sucking their stomachs in, they stand motionless, beckoning others to join them in the murky waters of fantastic incredulity. So come on in, the water's lovely. Duncan McDonald, well yes, where else to start? Duncan McDonald, a man who's dedicated most of his life assembling the skeleton of this legend, giving flesh to bones. This man would have us believe there's an eel of giant magnitude, probably a whole family of them, living in the lake and has done for hundreds of years. This belief is ingrained to such a degree that not only is he storing, collating and reenacting them, he is also believing them. To give his hobby some scientific credence, he has dug a giant eel trench. Not very scientific in my opinion, but he seeks the Parthenon of academia and nothing will dissuade him from his search. Basically, he wants people to think he's clever.
I'll put you down as a maybe.
Well, I think it's clear that Joey's problem is not quite so self-created. Clearly this man-child, or boy-adult, has issues. Many, many, many issues. His inability to confront the obvious truth is foremost. The smoke and mirror of his mother's camouflaging of the truths around her partner and her own disintegration and torrid existence have enabled him to heal over the truth. This truth now is nothing more than a protective reality, something that he can neither escape from or recover from. Or something like that.
Mama said.
Clearly, Miss McNaughton's ability to function as a sentient human being has been greatly diminished by the hedonistic activities of her youth. She still qualifies to be a teacher though. She has a history of hysterics and a past life of psychotic episodes. During her time at Teacher Training College, she was described by the authorities, and I quote, "A drug-crazed nymphomaniac who drank like a fish. Therefore no credence can be given to her accounts or memories, and everything becomes an excuse for her hippified background. What we have here is a bandwagonization by proxy. Maybe." What we clearly see here is a man wishing to relive his old glories. He has had a colourful and glorious shining light of an existence within the ranks of the Banks Peninsula elite. He sees the glimmer of the glitz of his old life and longs to fan the flames for the spent wick of his now extinguished notoriety. This draws him inexorably to the lifeguard chair on the beach. He wants to be Jesus on Sugarloaf, Nelson on his column, a siren calling to the weak. Dare I say, Hitler at Nuremberg? What he wants is his presence to draw people like moths to a flame.
You better start praying, boy.
With this in mind, his former glories can be reignited. Ethel and Enid. Dear little old ladies. We must view this pair as symbiotic. As they wrestle for ownership of personality, they drive it away from the humdrum existence towards a perceived utopian historical ambience. So when viewing them objectively, as individuals, we must always take into consideration the other half of the equation. They are nothing as individuals, but in the yin-yang of symbiosis, the dream world is their playground. The shared mythical existence is lodged in their subconscious, just like that handsome NCO at the summer ball.
We were feeding the swans.
Laurie McAllister, let me see. He has lost his wife, his car, his villa, his boat, his reputation, and most of all, his beautiful singing voice. This shell of a man shows us all the impact this blitzing has had on his life. A boiling rage makes him a dangerous man to be around. He has lost all sense of self, his will to live, and all sense of self-preservation. And you'll notice he wasn't wearing a helmet. Ah, Wendy James, the siren call of cold hard cash. It's not just the souvenirs. You've seen the car she drives round in. Ah, Dr. Bob. There is clearly a low intelligence at work here. Susceptible, but still able to influence others. He taps into the need of others to find their own cult of culture. Like many cult leaders, he would prefer a lower IQ denomination. So he is the alpha male, and this has come from a time when he was voted most intellectual man in Bluff 3 years running. So, in summation, individuals within a social group can infect others with ideas and influence, if you will. Humans are inherently susceptible to suggestion. In other words, if an individual states that he or she has seen something, the likelihood increases that others shall see something similar. This does come from an innate need to form a group or tribe for support and justification. It can encourage people to go to great lengths to persuade or infect others with that belief. This is clearly the case with the producers of this film. What a load of tosh. But as I said, come in. The water is lovely. I have given you the towel. Now change it to costume.
Clever girl.
Duncan McDonald, this is your life. What?
Must be a slow news day.
Life is the name of the game, and I wanna play the game with you. Life can be terribly tame if you don't play the game with two. Yeah, life is go as you please, and I need some place to go with you. Life can be all such a tease if you don't play the game with two. And I want to play the game with you, as Ronnie Corbett often used to say to me when we were having tea at Kenny Lynch's place. Now, normally, we'd meet on a Tuesday. No, it was Wednesday after we played bowls with Angela Rippon and Bob Parker, which was marvellous. Well, this Thursday, Kenny had rung to say that he was going to be back from his morning stroll late. He'd actually bumped into Terry Wogan and Larry Grayson, who were strolling out themselves.